What's going on, everybody? Patriots postgame show. I'm John Zannis. This is Greg Bedard live on the field in Foxborough where the Patriots, a good old-fashioned whooping, 42-13, the likes of which we haven't seen in a long time, and kind of refreshing to have a game like this, Greg, after what happened last week and all of the things that we said and critical of the team. And and I'm curious how your thoughts have changed on some of the stuff that we were talking about last week. Before we get into this, I do want to say that the show, as always, is brought to you by Prize Picks, the largest daily fantasy sports platform in all of North America. Download that app today, code CLNS, and get 50 in your lineups when you play 5. Code CLNS 50 in lineups when you play 5. Prize Picks, run your game. Also, Game Time. Download that Game Time app. Create an account. Again, code CLNS. 20 off your first purchase. That's all you have to do. And if you're not sure about it, and we've said CLNS 1,000 times, this show is obviously part of the CLNS Media Network. Please like us, subscribe, follow our YouTube channels, and all that good stuff. Let's get into the game, Greg. Last week, your number one takeaway and what you wrote about, and what you focused a lot on, coaching. What's up with these guys? They don't look ready to play, sloppy, just too many things going wrong here. And the way that this game started, with the Panthers marching down the field, just ripping through for a touchdown drive with almost zero resistance. And then the Patriots, another sloppy first possession where they didn't look good. Drake Maye too amped up, makes a terrible throw, maybe one of his only bad ones all game. And it kind of started to feel like, oh, crap, is this what we're doing again? And then everything changed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say one game and one blowout, and it was nice to get a blowout win over the Panthers, that everything is corrected. I think a big difference between last week and this week was just the opponent. I mean, look, I have a lot of respect for what the Panthers do. I do think that they're well coached. I think they're better than what they showed today. They're not a very talented team. They were down a bunch of starters. Then they lose. They get 12 yards on the first play of the game, and the guy goes out with basically like a broken wrist or a broken arm. And they were already short at wide receiver. They didn't have anything. Then they had one of their offensive linemen go out, a defensive lineman go out. So the Panthers just weren't able to quite take advantage of the Patriots' jackassery that we talked about last week. It was there, outside of the turnovers. Drake, put one into harm's way, almost got picked off. Ramondre Stevenson, who actually started the game, did not fumble today, so that was good. But I thought it was more of a case of the opponent just not being able to take advantage, because at the end of the day, the Panthers did drive into Patriots territory 6 times in this game. Now,
a lot.
Give the Patriots, give the Patriots credit that they sort of stiffened up, after they crossed the 50. That was good, sort of, shades of Belichick, bend but don't break. But I'm not going to sit here and just say everything is solved for the Patriots. And, here they go to Buffalo. They got a real chance to, knock out the Bills and sort of make a run for the AFC East. I'm not ready to say that yet, but, this was a step in the right direction. We also saw, speaking of jackassery, the penalties were still an issue in the first half. They had 6 penalties, 5 were accepted. You had Chason going off offsides. Apparently, he needs to go offsides like once a game just to get into the game flow, apparently. Carlton Davis, 2 big penalties. It was still there. I just thought, the difference in the game was the opponent, Marcus Jones, and Drake Maye and Josh McDaniels, who I thought were, really on top of their game today.
Yeah, so I want to talk about that because, again, you had a couple of really masterful drives there with McDaniels. You had the one where, they run that jet sweep and it's an explosive play, and then they fake a jet sweep and get another handoff on there where the Panthers are on their heels. And just a really masterful, a couple of really well-orchestrated drives. Part of the concern, certainly after week 1 with Drake Maye and the shaky preseason, was, are these guys jiving right now? Is it working? Does he know what he's doing with Drake Maye, or does Drake Maye understand what Josh McDaniels is trying to do? How do you feel better about that after watching today's performance?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think really since the week 1 game where everything was so new for everybody, I really think the offense has been, pretty good. It hasn't been perfect, and it would have looked a lot better without the 2 turnovers within the 2-yard line. But I think, week after week, I see a quarterback who is just growing more and more comfortable with what he's being asked to do in this offense. I see a play caller who, understands more what the players under his control, like, Steph Diggs or Drake Maye or, Henderson. I thought they used creatively today.
That's how you say it.
I see an offense that is starting to find their strides, and I really think like they're not even close to what they're going to be able to do. It seems like they're layering or improving each week on what they're able to do. And we didn't hear any whining for Mike Vrabel today about explosive plays because they were all over the place. I looked before I came down through the 1 p.m. games. The Patriots lead the league in explosive play rate, almost 17%. Their passing play rate today was almost 1 out of every 3 pass play went for an explosive play. And that's a pretty good Panthers defense, especially in the secondary. But what I thought Josh McDaniels did a great job today of doing was the Panthers were really short on the edges. They had to start 2 rookies. They called up Boogie Basham from the practice squad. They had really nobody on the edge. And what you saw was McDaniels, pressing the edge, whether it was, end arounds or make Maye with boot action or, just a variety of plays that sort of push the envelope on the edge. And the Panthers just really didn't know what to do with that. And the Patriots sort of ate on the outside of the Panthers defense.
Okay. Every week, everybody watching, they kind of want to know the same sort of thing, which is can we start to get really excited about Drake Maye? And I mean, there's obviously been reasons to be excited, but sorry, a lot of noise coming through here. This was nearly a perfect game again from him, minus like that one bad throw, and I think he missed Diggs again. And again, you can only ask him to do what's in front of him, right? And he's doing it. At what point are you starting to be like, he's there, he's got it? Like, can we get excited?
I think you can get increasingly excited every week. I just, caution people. I think, the next game at Buffalo Sunday night in front of those fans, let's see what he does. And I think that's sort of a litmus test for, where Drake Maye is right now. And so, yeah, you can get excited. I mean, I'm a little bit more excited. I wish the Panthers were a little bit more at full strength on defense, especially at edge rusher, because they really had nothing going there. And like I said, the Patriots took advantage of them because this was, according to advanced analytics and DVOA and all that, this was the best defense by far, especially passing defense that they faced this season. I mean, it's not even close. I think they were 11th in pass DVOA coming into this. The other 3 teams that they played were all in the bottom 6th. So, I think it's a spot to take another level up with excitement, but I think there's no reason to go overboard, at this point. This is a 2-2 team. They have after Buffalo, they have a bunch of easy games on paper coming up, but I think I would just be excited with the level of comfort that Drake seems to be having. Like the more that comes, John, the more plays that he's going to make, the playmaker, the off-script stuff that people were begging for after one game. I don't think we hear too much being on his plate at this point in time because it seems like McDaniels and Maye are really meshing, and I really think they're just scratching the surface on what they're capable of.
Yeah, he's not. He hasn't even fully been unlocked in terms of what he can do physically. But again, what he's being asked to do, and you're seeing the improvisation. Even though like every time he gets moving or he's getting on the run, I think good things happen. But also, it just stresses the defense. You look at that Hunter Henry play where he's kind of rolling out there. That's they gotta respect what Maye's going to do with his legs. Then he makes what looks like, I think, a really nifty little throw there, slipping it to Henry, and Henry kind of walks in, and it looks like a ho-hum touchdown, almost like the Panthers fell asleep on it, but there was a lot going on that play. Then you have a fourth down play, a couple of really good throws in the seam to people, a couple of tight window throws, and then the really great back shoulder stop to Diggs there on that fourth down. There's some really like high level plays mixed in there where, again, I think the number one thing with Maye is you just don't want to see him missing a lot of plays. You don't want to see him holding it too long. You want to see him play on time and then make high-level throws. And I think that's what you're seeing. And again, you have to take the opponent, into consideration. But how much better could you have done today if you were him?
Not much. I mean, I thought he was dynamite. Like you said, that Hunter Henry play, when he was rolling out over there, I was like, well, what's he going to do with this? Is he going to run? And then I was thinking to myself, I'm like, there's no way he can get the ball to Hunter Henry. But he did. That's kind of like a Josh Allen-like play. I mean, the Stefon Diggs 30-yard pass layered in perfectly. That's a dot. You had like you said, there was a 3rd and 15 conversion over the middle. That was great. The 4th down back shoulder. You even saw I liked seeing Travion Henderson was in the right flat and he, sort of gave him like a touch pass. I mean, it just seems like, this is a guy that's starting to understand what he can do. And I think really he can't get there without understanding the offense, what they're asked to do, what am I looking for on this play as far as, defensive coverage and things like that. And I think each week he's getting more and more comfortable with that. That's why after the first week, I told people just relax, just take a breath. It was the first game in this offense. It was his first season opener as a starter. Just give it time, let him be able to take what he saw on the field, go watch the film and make the corrections. And I think that's what you're seeing. I mean, what do you have? Like an 84.6 completion percentage today? I mean, it was just ridiculous. And both of those passes are ones he'd like to have back. The one to Diggs, the one that was a near interception. But the kid's doing great so far.
He's doing great. The guy we talked about a little bit, but I think it's, again, almost every question is going to always be like, is this real, right? When you see something good, you want to know if it's real, is it sustainable? Stefon Diggs jumps in here with his first 100-yard game. Their connection was good. And I think this is the kind of thing where it's it was almost spoken into existence. As you were seeing Demario Douglas and Maye struggling to connect, Maye throwing high to him, Pop not being necessarily in the right place. And then just the way that Diggs plays nowadays, the type of player he is, I think a lot of people, myself included, were like, more slot reps make sense here. Let's get him different places on the field where Maye can find him. And I think you kind of saw it today. I think unofficially, Pop fell to about, and again, they're playing a lot of 12, so they're interchanging 3 receivers. So Diggs is sometimes out, sometimes in. I'm not sure where he lined up primarily today, but you did see his snaps tick up, and you saw Douglas nearly disappear today. Is this where this is going?
Yeah, I think so. And, one aspect of all of this is because of Drake Maye's legs, a lot of teams are, choosing to play zone against the Patriots. And, in this offense, you need a sort of savvy veteran that understands the coverages and what he's going to get post-snap and where the holes are. And that's Steph Diggs. And, I thought that, their connection grew, certainly took a big step forward today. It's only going to get more. I wasn't in the locker room or the player post-game press conferences, but I'm kind of guessing that Steph Diggs probably talked today after he didn't talk last week. And, apparently he was available in a uniform early on last week, but I'm going to guess he talked quite a bit after this game because he got fed. Steph Diggs likes to get fed. And as much as he says he doesn't, and he's not asking for the ball, I mean, when the quarterback comes out 2 straight weeks and says, I need to get Steph the ball, there's obviously something at play. He got Steph the ball today. It was good for the Patriots passing game, and I look for that to continue.
Yeah, and just in terms of the rest of it here, you're still not seeing a lot of Kyle Williams, but you did, as far as weapons are concerned, Ramondre didn't lose his job, but Henderson was intentionally worked into the mix a lot more. You saw it. Ramondre started, and I'm actually for that. I hate the idea of just punishing people as if they're going to learn, by not playing. You just don't have the type of team where you can completely go away from Ramondre Stevenson right now. But Henderson was in second snap of the game. And again, it felt like they were kind of interchangeable today, where they were just using them. And again, I'm trying to look it up right now, what we had in terms of total snaps, but it definitely feels like Henderson actually not as much as involved as I thought. Still 2-1, 28-15, but definitely trying to get him the ball more.
Yeah, and I thought that Henderson's usage, the way they used him today, and we saw him lined up at wide receiver, and I think he got an end around at one point. I thought that as far as the game plan against the Panthers, and we talked about their edges and having issues there. I thought that Henderson would factor in a little bit more, use his speed and space and all that stuff, and so it was good. It was a little bit. Say for Henderson, he scored his first career touchdown between the tackles in the red zone, a good power run. So that was good to see. I'm sure it'll lead to more people saying why isn't he our every down back? And we'll be saying this every week. I just seeing Henderson in the locker room on Friday, he is not a big dude. He is a smaller dude, and so you really want him to expand on what you saw as far as using him in space more and more. And the more he runs between the tackles, the less you're going to get of that. So I thought it was a good job by Josh McDaniels getting him involved. And I do think there's an element of maybe hiding Henderson, a little bit to unleash him, like against maybe a Buffalo Bills opponent that doesn't think he's going to be used to be very much. Maybe you incorporate him a little bit more next week.
Yeah. We haven't gotten to it yet, but we will. But one more thing on Henderson. I do like, Greg, that I like his pad level when he's running, even when he's going through the tackles. He's not meant to take 20, 25 carries, but he definitely he lowers his shoulder. Sorry. He lowers his shoulders. He's not afraid of contact. So he's okay to mix it up. I thought he had some good plays in there. Again, you want to see his touches tick up into the 15 to 20 range, or, 10, 12, 15 to kind of fully utilize him as a weapon. Another guy I'm curious, well, first off, we'll talk about his contributions on special teams, but, Marcus Jones.
Here we go.
Your guy, okay? You're happy to talk about him. You can't not talk about it. 88-yard touchdown, first quarter, after the Patriots had kind of started slow there, which was nice. And then he sets a franchise record, 167 punt return yards in the game. Total weapon. Just talking about him today a little bit, Greg.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go right to why can't we use Marcus Jones more in offense? Yeah, I figured you were going to go there.
I'm going to get there.
Okay, you're going to get there? All right.
On the back end. First we'll talk about what's actually happening, and then we'll do that.
Yes.
You got to get Marcus Jones. Then we'll talk fantasy
football and Madden football. Yeah, we'll talk that in a second.
We'll do the radio thing. Yeah.
His punt returns obviously were tremendous. I mean, I was shocked. At the first punt return, that was, really, I thought the game
should have been tackled. Yeah,
he should have been. The game kind of swung there. Maybe it was a little bit later, but them punting there, and you figure you're like, it's either going to be a fair catch or it's going to be a touchback. One of two things. And then all of a sudden, I see him fielding the ball, and I'm like, wait a minute, why is he running with the ball? He didn't. Amit,
yeah. Where you going, buddy?
Yeah. It was unbelievable to me that he actually ended up returning that. I think it surprised the Panthers. There was a guy behind him waiting to, down the football. That was just a great play. And he was basically untouched for 87 yards. And then the second one, he almost returned again. Those are huge swings for a football team. And this team isn't good enough, especially on defense, to not get contributions from special teams or to have them be a negative, which they've been way too many times. But today was a good day for Jeremy Springer and the special teams units.
Okay. Why won't he play a little offense? McDaniels knows, right? He knew it, right?
Yeah, he's not Alex Van Pelt. He actually watches film and understands. Yes.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
I'm not saying the only reason I bring this up is the same reason you would have brought it up last year or the year before. the Patriots lack game-changing talent. You have it a little bit with Travion Henderson, and that kind of is probably the answer. You've already got Henderson in here.
Yes.
You got to find ways to scheme him up, and that's probably the answer. You got that guy, but you didn't before, and you don't have a lot of people that can do stuff with the ball in their hands. You get receivers who catch it and fall down. So Marcus Jones is a guy who do something with the ball in his hands. I'm still surprised there isn't a designed play where he's out there 4 or 5 snaps a week on offense just to keep the defense honest.
Well, a couple of problems with that. If you want Marcus Jones to get snaps on offense, you're taking those away from somebody, notably Travion Henderson. There's already enough people whining about Travion Henderson's usage, so now he's going to
drafted him.
Travion Henderson is your space player. That's what he's there to do.
Exactly.
So he's going to take away from Travion Henderson. Secondly, how much are you going to play him? He has enough on his plate on defense. He's had some issues this year. And quite frankly, I thought, and I'll have to go back and look at this, I thought his role before Charles Wood got hurt, I thought his role on defense was reduced, that he was more of a dime player that Woods was playing in front of him. So he's got enough on his plate on defense. He's got enough on his plate on punt return. And then if you want him to play on offense, how many snaps is that going to be? The other team's going to be keying on him. They're going to know something's up. Maybe you could work off of that once in a while. I just think, look, like I just said, this offense through the 1 p.m. games has the biggest explosive play rate in the NFL, the biggest explosive pass rate in the NFL. Let Josh McDaniels cook a little bit. Keep people out of his kitchen. Let him do what he's doing. He's doing pretty good. So just let Mac keep cooking.
Fair enough. And lastly, and then we're going to let you go. We're going to bring in Taylor Kyles and Mike Kadlick to continue on with the postgame show. Christian Gonzalez plays first time this season, which is good. You guys got airplanes or is it tractors? What's going on over there?
Helicopter. Must be Kraft.
Kraft's just
leaving with $1 billion in cash in his helicopter from the sale.
All that PE money right there. Gonzalez plays early on. First thing that everybody sees, he's a little bit, on a comeback route. He's a little bit late to recover there. And an easy completion. Maybe another time, I think, where, it looked like, he didn't have his guy blanketed, but the rest of the game, you didn't hear his name a ton. I'm not sure how much you were paying attention to him specifically on defense throughout the game, but how did he look at you first blush before you get a chance to dig in and actually see it on film?
I mean, I was surprised a little bit about how much he played. I thought he looked fine. I thought he did a, solid job. I think PFF had him for, 2 receptions on, 3 targets, including that, 17-yard comeback. To me, I thought what was interesting, and it'll be interesting to watch the film after this to see if it holds, but it sure looks like they're playing a lot more man. And I think we've talked about that, his impact, because of some of the issues that they were having with communication and breakdowns in the secondary, if Gonzalez and Carlton Davis are going to be playing man, it simplifies things for a lot of people. Like I think when you saw in Craig Woodson's pass breakup, when he was sort of like the lurker, read the quarterback's eyes, breaks it up. It makes it a little bit simpler for him. And also Jalen Hawkins. Now, of course, Craig Woodson gave up both touchdowns in this game, so not quite a banner day for him. But, I thought Gonzalez looked good. I thought his workload, that's promising. He's not going to be at his best, having not practiced, since late July. But today was a good start for him, and it's big for this Patriots defense because he allows the Patriots to do a lot more things as far as who they blitz, man coverage, things like that. But it was good to see him out there today.
Okay, we are going to wrap it up right now with Greg, but we're going to bring in a couple other guys. Before we do, we should definitely let you all know that you can subscribe to Boston Sports Journal for either $7 a month or $50 for the year. Is that's right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Which is insane value for the level of coverage that you're getting with obviously Greg Bedard and Mike Giardi covering the Patriots, John Corrales, basketball, that's about to start up right now, so you're going to want to get in on that, as well as Media Day is on Monday. So make sure you follow Greg on all of his socials and also subscribe to BSJ, more importantly, for the best sports coverage in town. Greg, when I find the right button, I'm going to say bye to you, but I can't find it.
Please do.
I'm trying to.
Press the button.
Everything moved. All right, I'm going to go. Bailey, I can't remove him. Get him out of here. There he goes. Bye, Greg. Prize Picks, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, here you have it. Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in all of North America. If you want to get in on the action, again, perfect time to do so with football season in full swing. Play however you want. You pick more or less on at least 2 players shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. You can mix and match player projections from different sports, combine basketball, football, hockey, baseball, whatever it is. It's terrific. You get a lot of great promos as well with free squares, which is basically free money, a chance to insert something into your lineup that's almost certainly going to hit. So you got to keep an eye on those. But most importantly, when you sign up today, and again, lots of other promotions, Taco Tuesday, whatever have you, but download that app, use the code CLNS, get 50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, download that app today, use your code CLNS and get 50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And again, play it however you want. What I like doing the best, by far, is settling in on one game or a series of games, the 1 o'clocks, the 4 o'clocks, and playing it that way. I think that's always super fun here as well. So Bailey, grab that, take that off the screen here, and we're going to pop back up full here. There we go. We're waiting for Mike and Taylor to set up, but first off, we did want to say again, thank you for joining us here on the Patriots postgame show. They defeat the Carolina Panthers 42-13, which was great. Drake Maye, a near perfect game, another one. He was terrific in this one. 14 of 17 passing, 203 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 155.6 QB rating, also 11 rush yards and 1 rush TD. You love to see it. Here he is after the game talking about today's performance.
A little faster than I thought. He looked pretty fast.
On Diggs.
I think he's just keep getting more comfortable. He's a great player with the ball in his hands, and he's a great leader on this team. He's great with energy, being positive, and glad he's a Patriot.
Isn't he great? He's glad he's a Patriot. We're going to get a thumbs up from Mike and Taylor. It looks like we have it. All right, we are going to start right now. Postgame show 2.0. Hit it now. Let's switch it. Welcome
there it
to
is.
The official Patriots post-game show. We little appetizer.
We're eating W's.
Bedard. Huh?
I'm full. We're gonna eat some W's
full
today.
Oh God, Taylor. He's too embarrassed. He's too cool to eat W's. You've changed, man.
I'm full. I had 40 points for dinner. I'm all right.
You've changed, man. Anyway, guys, we've been over a lot of this right now, but as we always kind of talk about, you want to figure out what's real and what's not real, right? And it's so easy to say, well, the Carolina Panthers are a crap team, and that's what Greg said a little bit, and then everybody got mad at him in the chat, like he's got to be negative. That's what Greg does, blah, blah, blah. But that's not what these guys do, and I don't care. What are you supposed to do if the Carolina Panthers are a bad team? You're supposed to beat them 42-13 or 42-6 with a garbage touchdown when your second stringers are in the game. That's what you're supposed to do. And when you see this soft schedule that the Patriots have, you're thinking about what? You're thinking about eating W's, and then they did it. So again, guys, just opening thoughts on the game today, and a performance unlike we've seen from this Patriots team in a long time. It's got to feel good, right? Foxborough blowouts are back. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I haven't seen a well-rounded performance like this the entire time that I've been on the beat, maybe even a little bit before that. And it was awesome that it was finally in front of the home crowd, because these poor fans have been subjected to some brutal losses. Obviously, last week, one where you probably should have had another blowout, and unfortunately, you end up losing because you kind of vomit all over yourself. This week, the playbook was wide open for the offense. We got to see Josh McDaniels cook, to take a phrase from Greg Bedard. Also, outstanding defense after that first drive, which we've kind of seen. They adjust, which is kind of funny. It feels like they just kind of try their best to not run at Milton Williams and Christian Barmore. The Patriots defense figures that out, and then they make the adjustments and really shut everything down. And the special teams, man, like in my 3 up, 3 down, which really turned into like 5 up and 1 nitpick after this game, I had the punt return team and also Brendan Schooler. Schooler was fantastic as a gunner, and also Marcus Jones, obviously, like Drake Maye said, the best returner on punts in football. So I loved seeing this well-rounded performance, how one phase spilled into the other, and that just led to a bunch of positive plays for the entire team. That was awesome to see.
Yeah, my 2 thoughts here. 1, complementary football works. And number 2, turning the football over loses you football games. Because you look at last week, and we talk about being optimistic on this side versus pessimistic, like what Greg was talking about earlier. But this is a Carolina team you should have beat. But the pessimist in me is like, why the hell didn't you just win that game last week, not turn the ball over 5 times, and then you could go into Buffalo in week 5, 3-1 on Thursday Night Football for a true, like, dominating AFC East matchup. Now, they're 2-2. They're coming off a dominant win this week, and clearly they could have won last week, right? And even though they only scored 14 points, they kicked themselves and they killed themselves in that one. But this Patriots team is pretty good, and you saw that today. Now, again, John, like you said, it's a Carolina team that's struggling despite coming off a 30-point win last week. This just ain't a good team. So they should have won. They did win, but they got the job done. They ate what's on their plate, just like Stefon Diggs did today. So that's something that's positive to me, because you look at the Miami game, a team they should have won, and they did. Last week they didn't do it, but this week they found a way to win. And like you said, Taylor, at home in front of the Gillette Stadium crowd. So there's really not a ton to even nitpick in this one. They played great complementary football. Marcus Jones goes and scores a touchdown on special teams. The defense plays well and holds them to 13 points, really 6. And then they took advantage of complimentary football, because on the second huge return Marcus Jones had, they turned it into 7 points. So that's exactly what you have to do to win football games. It was really impressive today. And Patriots are sitting 2-2, looking pretty heading into next week.
Yeah. Guys, let me ask you, this coming off of last week, and again, so much was on the sloppy play, and I asked Greg this question as well, and the coaching, which people started to really get on last week. Like, what is this? Is this a Mike Vrabel was supposed to clean this up? We're not supposed to have this many penalties, and they still had too many penalties today. You're not supposed to have mistakes. The team's supposed to be disciplined. They're supposed to value the football and not turn it over. I don't know. You can always put that on the coach, but just seeing that brand of football made you wonder, like, where is the Vrabel effect right now? Because this feels like what we saw last year. And then they start this game letting the Panthers just rip it down their throat for a touchdown, and that looked bad. And then the Patriots' first series looked really bad, and Drake Maye again almost turns it over. Maybe his one bad. He made 2 bad throws today. There's 1 bad throw, really bad one. But puts the ball in harm's way right out of the gate. And then Marcus Jones kind of flipped the script on everything here, and then they just went rolling. What happened here? Like, how did they go from what they started with to everything we saw after that?
Well, there still were penalties, and that's the one kind of big nitpick is I think they had in the entire game. And we do have to acknowledge, and I think these have been 3 crews that call things very, very tight. I asked Austin Hooper about like his penalty because he was run blocking. His hand slipped up, but he did hit the defender in the face. And the official told him, like, typically maybe if they had seen it, they wouldn't have thrown the flag because it was clearly unintentional. But for these officials, like, as much as we criticize them, they have hard jobs too. As soon as you see somebody's head yank, you have to throw the flag. So I understand Vrabel not seeing penalties as significant indicators of playing poorly, because especially when it's a post-snap penalty, sometimes things just happen and you get those flags. Some of the pre-snap penalties on the defensive line have to be fixed. I don't know what's going on. They keep lining up left sides. These neutral zone infractions have been very bizarre. But the penalties, we'll see what happens there, but obviously didn't play too much of a factor in this game. Frankly, didn't play that much of a factor last week outside of a couple plays that did come back, unfortunately. Then the ball security, we talked about it last week. As much as, yes, you need to keep 2 hands on the ball, the blocking wasn't good enough and actually created situations where ball carriers were having those balls get punched out by defenders they couldn't even see. I think this week, obviously, you're going to have to dive into the tape, but it felt like the run game blocked better. I know on that touchdown for Travion Henderson, dominant block for Morgan Moses, helped get Derek Brown out of the gap, then bullied a linebacker at the second level. Austin Hooper made up for his penalty earlier in the drive. So I'll say in terms of the turnovers, the blocking looked like it was better. Drake Maye not doing too much. There was the first throw, like you mentioned, but in terms of, okay, there's no one to throw to, just trying to run or create some kind of positive plays, but not doing too much. And then again, the blocking was better. So that's why I think a lot of the improvements were made today.
And the Marcus Jones thing was sort of a spark plug for them, right? Because you mentioned those first two drives, John. Drake Maye did have those, early game jitters again. He threw it behind Kayshon Boutte, almost started to go the other way. They were lucky that, the Carolina wasn't able to make that happen. But the other thing, too, that turned this game around to me, it's the explosive plays, right? Now, the run game, we talked about it earlier on this week from last week's game against Pittsburgh. We mentioned the yards per carry, which was 4.2. Well, the Patriots only rushed for 3.6 yards per carry today, which isn't great, but they had runs of 22 yards, 11 yards, 21 yards. And then they had passing plays of 31, 33, 24, and 18. So, they were able to move the ball and not just have a long, methodical 17-play drive. They would have 3, 4, 5-play drives, whatever. I don't have those numbers in front of me, but they were able to get chunk plays out of it, especially with Stefon Diggs. And that kind of turned the tides here too, was that they were able to, actually, execute on offense and do so in a long form instead of just kind of dinking and dunking.
And to Mike's point, that was one of my big things. Before I even left the house today, I was like, I feel like I need to acknowledge that they cannot go another game where they're only scoring on 10 plus or 9-play drives. That's not sustainable in the NFL. Sometimes if you're like, hey, this is a game where next week against Josh Allen, we want to take as much time off the clock as possible, then I understand the slow, methodical drives, but it gives you more opportunities to make mistakes. And against these officials that are going to call it tight, you don't want to give them those opportunities. So the chunk plays make such a huge difference. I think on a few of their scoring drives, they had multiple. You get the explosive runs, get the explosive passes, and what that does to a defense mentally, knowing that they've gotten gashed a couple of times. And this is also, let's be honest, this is the Panthers team that felt like it gave up. In the fourth quarter, Hunter Henry's touchdown, great blocks from Pop Douglas. Give him all the credit. But I saw one of those guys tried to punch it out when he could have just pushed Hunter Henry to the sideline. And I saw Panthers writers even saying this team looks pretty defeated. So, but that's what you do. You want to bring a team, have them come into your hometown and say, hey, we are going to bully you into submission and make you quit by the fourth quarter. And they did that today. We said that was a key. This couldn't just be a win. This needed to be a comfortable victory. And that's exactly what we saw.
Which was great. So let's get nuts here. Let's get excited.
How does Jalen Polk factor into this?
Well, Jalen Polk had 200 yards today.
I'm going to get to Polk a little later in the show, but right now,
love it.
Right now, if you look at Drake Maye's, so you've got the 4 games, right? You've got the 4-game extended preseason that everybody talks about. Let's start to see who you are and what you become after this happens. And if you were to look at Drake Maye's, how he's been through the 4 games this year. First game, he looked really bad. Obviously, everybody knows that. Uncomfortable, inaccurate, not playing on time, unsure of himself. A version of Maye we haven't really seen. Even last year, with everything that was going on around him that was terrible, you didn't see a lot of what you saw in week 1. And it was, I guess, some cause for concern for some people because you don't want to see him regress. And again, it's another, new coaching staff and blah, blah, blah. And preseason wasn't great. So we're a little worried. Then I would say he's played 2 perfect games out of 3. And then last week, I think if you remove it's hard to isolate because the turnovers are a huge part of why they lost. But let's remove just those plays. Everything else about Drake Maye last week was near perfect as well. You can't erase the turnovers, but you're talking about what type of football, how high a level is he playing at right now? It's pretty high, right? Now,
I can actually give you some numbers if you want from my buddy at the NFL, if you're interested.
It's insane. No, the numbers are great, but I'd love to see them. Next time, though, we have these producers that work for, that help us put these things on full screens and stuff, and then we can show them. So you can always send those to us as well. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's my bad. I literally just thought about while you were talking about it, I was like, wait, I I do have like a legitimately very good stat. So my buddy Jack Andrade, who works at the NFL, does a fantastic job for the research department, says Drake Maye has had a 75+ completion percentage and thrown 2+ touchdown passes in 3 consecutive games. The only player in NFL history with a longer streak within a single season was Tom Brady's 4-game streak for the Patriots in weeks 1 to 4 of his first MVP season in 2007. Drake Maye is currently tied with his 3-game streak with Peyton Manning in 2013, Aaron Rodgers in 2011, Peyton Manning in 2004, and Kurt Warner in 2001. That's some pretty damn good company. And that's with, as I mentioned before this game, they've been leaving some meat on the bone. Finally actually got to it this week. So that just shows you the arrow for this Patriots offense. Still, of course, plenty to work on, but it's fair to say that it's pointing up.
Bailey, you got all that for the full screen? Okay, good.
My bad. Sorry.
No, it's true, though. I mean, this offense looks great
but
today.
For real,
like the 40.
I have always believed, like, I think Tom Brady made us lose our minds in New England in terms of how
100%.
do you assess quarterback play, and the amount of nitpicking over Drake Maye I always found to be excessive, given who he is, his level of experience, how new it is to all of this and all of that stuff. But it's like, we're almost afraid to overreact when you start to see, like, oh my God, like, he's really, really good. Like right now, not he's gonna be good.
Right.
He's good now, and I'm ready, Mike, to say he might be a top 10 quarterback this moment in the NFL.
I like the hot takiness of it. I like the ranking of it. That's my kind of style, John.
Hot take would have been 5. I was ready to say 5. A 10 is a certainty. Okay, that's
being around the top
truth.
10.
Yes.
Now there are roughly like 15 to 17 top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, right? I mean, everyone does it. There's the top 5 that are obvious.
May's better than
7
most of them,
to 10. 7 to 10 are kind of in and out, but I mean, I don't necessarily disagree. Taylor just mentioned the numbers there. He's playing outstanding football. He's completing, like today again. He only threw the ball 17 times, but he completed 14 of them. He didn't have to. He took what the defense gave him. He took what Josh gave him on his plate, and there's these plays. And Taylor, you mentioned, I don't know if you mentioned it before the game or if we were just talking about it off the air, but how great and efficient Drake Maye has been on 3rd and 4th down.
I have the numbers ready. Actually,
okay, look at that. Send those to Bailey. But,
I should actually. Yeah.
No, but you look at today, right? There was a 3rd and 1, and he drops back, doesn't have anything, gets the first down. It gets called back to 3rd and 15. And it's like, is he really going to do it again?
That's happened a lot this season, by the way.
He has 2 chances on 3rd down, and the second time it's Stefon Diggs across the middle for a 15-yard chunk play to set up yet another Patriots touchdown. 42 total points, 7 of them were Marcus Jones on special teams, but the offense puts up 35 points for the second time in 4 weeks, for the 3rd time in like 4 years since that 2022 game against the Browns that we keep talking about for that 30-point benchmark. So They've got it on offense right now, John. It's not like we're necessarily building towards Drake Maye anymore. He is here, and this is, I forget what his exact answer was, but he was asked after the game, is this the best version of Drake Maye as far as playing the offense, taking what's given to him, being able to convert with his legs, and pushing the ball downfield here and there? It looks it right now, because again, to be able to do this I say on this stage, even though it is only the Carolina Panthers, I keep having that caveat, but it is true. He played really well. He's played really well for the majority of this season. So it's exciting to see that he's there and how much more he can grow after what he's done so far this year.
And I know after the Miami game, I put it in my piece that if he continued at that trajectory, obviously young players, it is never going to be up every week. He's going to have some bad games or some less impressive performances. But after that game, I'm thinking if he plays somewhat consistently this way, he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. That's why you draft him. He has so much talent. He's still very young. One of the reasons he slipped was because he's 22 years old. People knew there was going to be some maturation. He was going to need to grow as a leader. And we've known that. Like even Drake acknowledged he doesn't love to celebrate, gave a little Cam Newton
awesome.
And a kind of very rare display of celebration. But then when you started looking at the numbers, like the beginning of last week, I was nitpicking only because I have very high expectations for Drake Maye. I'm out here saying he could be one of the league's best quarterbacks. When you have the high misses, the turnover-worthy plays, like those need to be called out. But the efficiency numbers have been insane. This is what he's been on 3rd and 4th downs. So he has the highest completion percentage at 83.3. The most, this was coming into this game, the most passing yards at 289, the most yards per attempt at 9.6, the second most touchdowns with 2. Jared Goff had the most, and his passer rating was 126.3, second highest behind Lamar Jackson. Those are the most difficult positions in football, and Drake Maye has had several 3rd and extra long conversions where they're backed up like more than 10 yards, and he's moving the ball downfield, moving guys with his eyes, and throwing right down the pipe of the defense when they know exactly what's coming. It's just when this guy is locked in,
you gotta have it.
It's insane. And yes, we can obviously nitpick, and I will still continue to because I think that he can be an elite quarterback. But what he's doing right now, what we saw over the summer with the decision making, the maturity, I kept saying it like, yeah, I got shaky towards the end, but it's like this is a new offense for him, and he's almost never putting the ball in harm's way. We complain, oh, he's not throwing downfield. That was his first month or two in the offense, and we're seeing with Josh making game plans that specifically are tailored to his skill set and what the offense does well. These past 2 weeks, he has been picking, albeit not great defenses, but picking guys apart with some beautiful play designs. And when you get McDaniel's experience, his binders of all these old game plans that he can pull from, combine that with Drake Maye's talent, truly the sky is the limit as long as they continue to put the right pieces around him. So yeah, man, like for someone who, again, I was on Drake a little bit last week because I didn't think it was as good as I initially thought. I think I'm going to go on the tape and say, nope, this is like week 2. This was pretty damn good.
So is he a top 10 quarterback?
Right now, like legitimately, he's playing like it. Who's playing? Him and Daniel Jones.
That's
top
it.
10 quarterbacks.
That's all I
Who
want.
would've thunk it?
That's all.
Yeah, right.
It can't be a hot take if everybody agrees. It's just it's reality. He's playing he's doing so many things that you want him to do, that you want to see, to make sure that he gets it, and I always say this, and I agree, and this is, a bit of a sloppy analogy, but this is how I feel with it. And you guys go out there, Mike, I know you like to golf. Like, I always feel better about myself if I'm smoking the ball, but I just yanked it a little bit out of bounds and this and that, versus not making good contact and keeping it in the fair. Drake Maye's not key. He's doing everything. Like, the mistakes, fine. It comes with it, but he's striking the ball well, so to speak. Like, it's all flowing through him, and it feels, like he sees it and he's understanding it. He's making the high level throws. I think a really underrated play, is that little pass over to Henry there. He rolls out. What's he going to do?
Yep.
There's not a lot of room. It looks so basic because Henry walks in, and I said it to Greg, it almost looked like the Panthers stopped playing, but they had to respect his athleticism. They had to figure out what they're going to do. Somebody steps up thinking he's going to run. Second that happens, boom, just threads the needle right to Henry, who just walks into the end zone. Beautiful. The 4th down stop play to Diggs there. A couple really good throws throughout this game.
That was crazy.
Really high level stuff. And again, it feels like you're scratching the surface. He's not out there. What did you think Drake Maye would be in year 2? A version of Josh Allen, right? Spectacular highs, incredibly not to compare to Allen because he's one of one.
Yeah, but bonehead plays.
Yeah.
In that vein, right? A guy who's going to do things that your eyes are going to be like, holy wow, mixed in with a lot of bad judgment, bad plays, raw stuff, trying to force the issue. You definitely have some of the latter, but he looks so much more refined than even a player like Josh Allen after 2 years of just his understanding of how to play the quarterback position. You want to limit that other stuff, but he just gets it. Like, he just clearly gets it. Yeah.
Another quick thing on Maye, he's learning as the season goes, and that's obvious. But
so scary.
You're seeing it from week to week because those stupid boneheaded turnovers that Josh Allen made. Drake Maye did that twice last week. He tried to do too much with the football, got a strip sack, turned it over. He had Kayshon Boutte open in the end zone. He tried to fire it in there. Instead, it got picked off when he could have just lofted it. But this week, he gets into trouble in the pocket and immediately finds a quick, little alley and falls down. He doesn't
the 0-yard sack or something. He's like, I apologize to the O-line for that.
Yeah, he was sacked once, and it was kind of to his own accord, but he was just protecting the football. Another time, he rolls out of the pocket, sees he doesn't have anything. He doesn't try and do too much, and he chucks it out of bounds. So
I literally was like, protect yourself.
Yeah, and he did it. So it's like it's the little things like that from week to week that you see him growing. Now, it's not linear. Growth isn't linear. He's probably going to make some mistakes again throughout the season. He is. But if it continues to go up, that's what we want, and that's what we've seen through 4 weeks.
I know.
So
but
it's really good that he's doing the things that he can do, but he's also limiting the stuff that we thought, the bad stuff that we thought.
And not even doing all the things he does best. Like one of my favorite throws is like Drake Maye down the post.
Yeah.
I have seen very few quarterbacks who can put it on the money as often as he does. I don't think he's completed one of those passes in his NFL career. Like, they still don't have that deep. I think they still have shots available, but they don't have that guy that terrorizes defenses where it's like, if we leave this guy one-on-one, Drake's going to hit it in the bucket every time. So this is like efficient Drake Maye, where he is doing what Josh McDaniels is telling him to do while working within the confines of the offense. We haven't really seen like Super Saiyan Drake Maye, which is even more exciting, I think, for Patriots fans.
Yeah. I want to put on the screen here a comment from Victor Jose Rodriguez Chavez, who's saying that John Zannis is too excited about Drake Maye. He needs a common tea right now. I want to say this. When people are saying that I'm being too positive about something, we have reached the end of days, okay? That's
I'm kind of shocked hearing it.
No, because like I call it how I see it, guys. Damn
I
it.
know.
I like this.
I like it.
I'm not looking
Drake
for
Maye, top 10
negativity.
quarterback from John Zannis is crazy.
John
He's
Kyles
there.
over here.
He's there. He's there. Real quick before we get into it, because there's a lot of other stuff with a lot of meat on the bone, things we want to talk about as well, in addition to Drake Maye. First off, we want to tell you about our pals over at Game Time. #1 ticket app right now. Use that code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms, of course, do apply. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. It's a great app. Right now, you get into whatever games you want to get into. You get into concerts. It doesn't matter. Game Time is the app for you. Download it today. All-in pricing, great features, super intuitive. You can see it, view from your seat. Really, really, really easy to use. So check it out. I hope some of you used it to get in and see today's game over at Gillette Stadium. Really, really good stuff. So sign up for Game Time today. Once again, code CLNS, $20 off. Your first purchase, terms do apply. Guys, taking this off the screen here as we're just scrolling back. We're looking at our stuff. We're just hanging out. It's cool.
Taking in the
It's cool. I've been here. I'm ready. I've been ready. Guys, we talked about it a little bit with Greg, but kind of interesting here, and I'm going to put this on the screen here. Stefon Diggs obviously had a good game, but one thing I wanted to talk about, you're looking at snaps today. Things started to change a little bit. Booty still #1 with 34. And again, I think the Patriots ran 43 offensive plays, which is why these numbers seem so low. Stefon Diggs playing, his snap percentage ticks up 31, and we're seeing him more in the slot, which is, again, I don't want to take a victory lap, something I've been calling for a couple of weeks here. Mac Hollins is still in there. They're playing boundary. And again, Diggs wasn't in the, they're still running a lot of 2 tight end situations here. Kyle Williams up to 14, and Demario Douglas, falls all the way to 8. I want to talk about Demario as well. But first off, again, in our quest to determine whether this is real or not real, is this real? That Stefon Diggs, again, we're talking about a guy who's still pretty recent off an ACL as far as how recoveries are supposed to go with this sort of thing. And I think people were really quick to throw out the he's washed narrative and this and that. Are you seeing a different version of him, guys? Or was this just a game where, he and Dre were able to connect and it worked? But is he moving better? Is he earning his snaps? Are they using him more correctly? What do you think is happening right now that led to Diggs' first 100-yard game here as a Patriot, 6 receptions, 101 yards, and clearly Maye's most trusted target today?
I mean, he's gotten opportunities. It's not, I haven't really looked at the tape and thought like Diggs, woof. He's run like a couple whip routes where he got, jammed pretty badly, but that's really the only thing in terms of me worrying about Stefon Diggs. And usually when Drake throws to him, he's really just been the chain mover, like, run a spot route on 3rd down, I'm going to hit you. Obviously that helped open up Hunter Henry last week for a touchdown. But I think they have used Stefon Diggs in the slot. That was one of the things where even early in the season, you were seeing Diggs in the slot at times where Pop wasn't even on the field. Yeah. And they were in 3 receiver sets. So it's like, okay, what exactly is going on here? But yeah, really, I just thought that this was the first time that Drake tried to target him downfield, like the crossing routes. Haven't seen those. The back shoulder fade, I don't even know if we really saw that in the summer. That was new to me and caught me completely by surprise, especially in a 4th and 10 situation. I said coming into this game, I thought that them being aggressive, was it 4th and 10 or was it 4th and 3?
It might have been a little bit shorter.
It was a 4th and 3, but he was aggressive. It was really the idea. And I was thinking like, they're going to pay for being this aggressive on 4th down. It's got to happen. Nope. Shut up, stupid Taylor, because Drake can throw downfield and complete it way past the sticks when he doesn't even have to. So yeah, I really just thought it was about opportunities because Stefon Diggs has put good things on tape, improved last week as a blocker. He made a couple plays, even one I found late in the week where he had banged heads with Jabril Peppers and they kind of adapt respect. That was funny. But yeah, I really think it was more about opportunities than any kind of different play from Stefon Diggs, even though Drake said that he thought he looked a little faster.
I think so too. And I think just, it's the opportunities in the slot that he's getting. It's the increased snap count that he's getting, that he got rather today ahead of Pop Douglas. it allowed Drake Maye to, again, not make as many mistakes that he did with Douglas in that position, and instead have someone in Diggs who, they're kind of continuing to grow this chemistry. But the downfield aspect of it, instead of just, the quick routes with Diggs, is what's so exciting, because he is still getting healthy. He's still kind of growing in the offense. But it's also nice to see a guy in Stefon Diggs who's never played in – he played adjacently to Josh's system with Ben McDaniels as his wide receiver coach in Houston. But, this is his first time fully entrenched in this offense. And the fact that he's able to play outside, play inside, learn different positions is promising, because we know that it's hard for these young players, and a running back in Travion Henderson, a rookie in Kyle Williams, whose snaps did come up a little bit today. But
they were about the same as last week, to be fair.
Okay, so it's hard for these guys to, to learn this system in their first year. The fact that Diggs is doing it now, granted, he's a veteran, he's seen multiple, programs, so it's a little bit easier in that regard. But it's good to see the chemistry build, the fact that he is able to be so versatile, and again, that he's hitting him downfield and not just, quick short routes to try and move the chains. They're truly using him in the intermediate part of the field and even deeper today, which is exciting. And as long as he stays healthy, I think that's only going to continue to grow in this offense.
Yeah. Positive signs there, because you are looking for people to, step up a little bit here. And again, the weapons, they're not going to, they don't have those guys. They don't have the downfield stretchers right now. They don't have those guys. It is really a testament to Drake and Josh, I think, for them being able to get as many explosive plays as they got out of things today, which is great to see.
And shout out to Pop Douglas. I want to give Pop Douglas a quick shout here if we're going to continue on. I don't know if you were going to ask about it.
Yep, exactly.
As far as the snap counts go, they weren't high. I don't know. Did he have our targets today? I know he didn't have a reception, but I don't even know if he had a target today.
No.
But and Mike Vrabel shouted him out after the game. He was a key piece of that Hunter Henry touchdown. He made a nice block. He goes in there and he does his job. Where, some guys whose roles decrease like that, it's natural to kind of get inside your own head and get a little pissed off and maybe not give it your all out there. But instead, he comes out, he does his job. He spoke after the game. He was excited to get a win. So I think it's worth giving him a shout that he didn't just kind of turtle and not want to play. He took the opportunity when it was given to him on the field and made the most of it. So shout out Pop Douglas. I think you wonder if those kind of stuff, and for Vrabel to unpromptedly shout him out after the game, he's going to probably want to give him more opportunities because of that. And, whether they work out or not, that's to be determined. But he's going to be in the mix because of stuff like that.
And that wasn't even the only play. There was another explosive where I saw him blocking really hard downfield. So especially for a younger player who I feel like in years past has been more of the focal point, like last 100%. Year it took a while, but then they were like, no, we literally have to get Mario on the field. So we don't have enough talent. The maturity from him, and I'll even throw Kayshon Boutte into the mix as well, because the number of times I've watched on tape where Kayshon Boutte's wide open and he doesn't get the ball, sometimes Drake goes to somebody else who's open. That's fine. But it's the kind of thing where you expect a young receiver to kind of throw his hands up and look kind of pissed off. And the fact that Boutte has not had those moments on tape, that Pop, knowing that he wasn't going to have a huge role in this game playing, was still blocking hard, like you mentioned, those are really good signs. And also when you're winning and when you're doing things right and you're that close to what I feel like last week, they were like, we were on the precipice of a really big win and we just gave it up ourselves. There is that extra motivation versus, you have 10 losses and you're just trying to get through the season at that point. So it is very nice to at least see those young guys who came in together showing a level of maturity that not necessarily that they didn't have, but that really stands out in this offense where they talk about spreading the ball around. That's what it is. You don't have a star on this offense necessarily. So unless it's a big Hunter Henry game, so we know Drake loves him, the ball's going to go to whoever's open, as Drake Maye has really done throughout his career.
Yeah, it's I don't know if Pop is done here, but I do think, I am curious. I know, Vrabel said what he said there. You want him to be available and in case you need him. But I do wonder whether he's going to start to see all of that stuff continue to go down, whether this is a trend. I don't think he's at risk of necessarily Chisholm stepping in and being an inactive. I'm just curious what his role is going to be in this offense, because we talked about lack of explosive playmakers. Last year we were crying because they just wouldn't play him. They just wouldn't play Pop. There's just too many two receiver sets and he just wasn't seeing the field. It's an interesting drop here. And I don't know if last year was just simply they had nothing else and it made no sense. And maybe they feel a little better about what they have this year, but it's really not that much more because Kyle Williams hasn't made his presence felt here yet. And Pop, just for whatever reason, it's just not, it's not there right now with Drake and with Josh and with this offense. Pivoting off
I
of
also
this,
will say, I'm sorry, really quickly, because I mentioned before the game, people were asking like what his role was going to be. Like I said, this was not going to be a heavy pop game because the Panthers are very zone heavy. Pop's whole thing is he's almost impossible to cover man to man.
Yeah.
So I do want to throw that in there.
I
I
get
wouldn't
it.
say this week
No
is
doubt.
necessarily an indication of that, but yeah, this just was not a week.
Yeah.
And I think you
And-
wanted to scheme Pop a lot.
And Diggs is the type of guy who can find those soft spots in that zone, and it makes sense why his usage would be up there for sure. A guy we did see mix in more, but again, not a ton. He's still Stevenson outsnapped him 28-15, but Travion Henderson did get a little bit more involved today. He did carry the ball 7 times, which might be a season high. A couple of receptions here. It looks like they're trying to get him involved a little bit. He hasn't popped one yet, but it looks like he's on the verge all the time. You're waiting for that play, and it's hopefully going to come. And that's where you're going to get the value in Travion Henderson. He's not going to be a 20 to 25 touch guy, but you got to figure out a way to get the ball in his hands. I'd say minimum 10 to 12 times a game. It felt like they were trying to do that today.
Definitely did. And we talked about the backfield rotation, what was it going to look like after the fumbles. And I think we were on the same page of like when Ramondre and Antonio fumbles and Travion when it comes to his running. I'd like to see how we look this week because, again, he didn't pop anything because he has been inconsistent. Just feels like the game is kind of fast for him right now. Understandable for a rookie, but it didn't feel like there was going to be any crazy change in the plan necessarily. And then, I mean, when you had Travion making some plays, he had an explosive end around. Antonio Gibson making the most of his touches as well. It was a solid day from the backfield overall. Maybe I'd like to see more from them in the receiving game a little bit, but also I need to look back at the game plan and see if that was even something that really factored in. But it was just good to see all of the running backs get involved, do some positive things. I think all 3 of them popped explosive gains, even though I think Ramondre was a lot more quiet after his explosive. But Antonio Gibson, Travion Henderson carried the load, and that's what you need because like the receiving core, it's never going to be one guy in this backfield. You're going to get that committee. Those guys need to take the advantage of their opportunities, and for the most part, I thought they did that.
Yeah, Henderson 7 carries today. Last week he had 11, but that was sort of due to the rotation they kind of put in place after Stevenson.
That's right. It was all after Stevenson
two
fumbled.
fumbles.
I forgot. Yeah.
But as far as snap tracker, according to Mike Reese, Henderson played 23. Stevenson played 23. Henderson played 17. Antonio
17.
Gibson played 9. And no turnovers from the bunch. And the thing with this, and I know we're kind of going on Henderson, Stevenson is so damn good when he doesn't just turn the ball over. Like when you look at him run today, he's so explosive. He can pass protect. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. If he holds on to the damn football, which he did today, thank God, he's one of the better, more reliable backs just as far as consistency in the game. You just got to hold on to the football. So taking his snap count down a little bit obviously lessens his the risk of a turnover, and having the other guys in Gibson and Henderson in the backfield to kind of take on some of the load as well helps. But I'm with you, Taylor. A good day from the backfield overall, through the air, on the ground, and you'd like to see Henderson pop one here and there, but he still looks, he looks solid with the opportunities he's getting.
Also saw a little more of that Cam Newton run game this week. We had one where Travion Henderson went one way, the Pullers went another. I have to look at it exactly to see what the design was, whether Drake had an option to keep it or not. But I just loved seeing them dive a little bit deeper into that 2020 playbook where you have the quarterback runs. It felt like a lot of their success also came from the shotgun. I asked Drake about that. He was mentioning how it helps create favorable boxes for the Patriots. And obviously, when you are in the shotgun, the defense has to, whether or not it's a run where you're leaving guys on blocks, account for the possibility of him keeping it. I think he did on one play today. So I thought that also for the run game was something pretty notable. Yeah. And the second week in a row, we saw like an homage to the opponent, where this week we got a little Panthers homage. Yeah. Last week we got the Aaron Rodgers guitar fake and the cadence. So, and the zipper motion against Jalen Ramsey. So I like when Josh leaves these little things in his game plans.
Yep. And lastly, we haven't really had a chance. I want to hit 2 more things, but the Marcus Jones changing the game here, certain hat tip. And again, when you're a team that doesn't have, explosive playmakers all over the field on offense, being able to add a dimension here to special teams is amazing. You have obviously Gibson returning the kickoff last week, and you have Henderson back there, who's also a weapon on kickoffs as well. And Marcus Jones is, again, hands down. We can say this, right, without arguing about it. He's the best punt returner. He's a top 1 punt returner in the NFL.
Yeah, I would say so. I think that's fair. Yeah. I can't really think of anyone else off the top of my head that would compete.
So dynamic, so tough. Yeah. Like, he broke 1 tackle, but made 2 people miss on his touchdown. And usually when you see one guy trying to go after him, you're like, all right, that guy's probably going to miss. How's the rest of this going to go? And that's exactly what he did today.
Yeah, he was good stuff. And again, you know, I'm going to ask you the radio question that Greg didn't want to answer as well. But, you know, when are we going to see the kid play some offense? No, I mean, and I answered,
don't need it.
I answered the question myself. The reason you're not is because Travion Henderson is that guy. You have the guy already who you want to try to scheme up and get some touches, and he's your explosive. But it is a nice weapon to have, and the Patriots should feel fortunate that they have it there. Lastly, your opinion, guys. First blush, Christian Gonzalez in his debut today. Again, early on, you saw Tet kind of work him a little bit on a stop, comeback route. But other than that, kind of seemed fairly quiet. Didn't see his name called a lot there. I don't know if you had your eyes on him and what you saw Gonzo's first game back in terms of how he was moving, how he was playing. He played a lot. I thought maybe the snaps would be more limited, but he was out there and he was, doing his thing.
Yeah, so they didn't stick him on Tet. They had these guys playing sides, which honestly, right before the game, we had talked about, I think leading up to this, they were going to shadow. Yeah. I was like, honestly, you don't have to because Carlton Davis should be fine. Now, Davis got flagged twice. We'll have to look and see if those were as egregious as maybe they were called. So there was one play they allowed short underneath where I wasn't sure if it was on Ellis or Gonzo, but Gonzo really kind of stuck to his defender and didn't leave any zone on the outside, which I thought was part of what contributed to the chunk gain. And then on the stop, that was one where I felt like you're Christian Gonzalez. Ted McMillan is not faster than you. You should basically be jogging next to him. And I didn't love that he gave that much separation. But also, I mentioned in my notes before the game that might take Gonzalez time to get his legs under him, get his feet wet, because he has not played competitive football since early this summer. So I didn't see anything egregious. There were times where I felt like maybe he didn't look as comfortable as he would have if he had played the last 3 games, but absolutely nothing too alarming. I thought it was just good to see him out here and being competitive.
Yeah, nothing that stands out to me. I will say that, the debate of should you play him this week or should you have rested him again for Buffalo, I think getting him out here against what's clearly an inferior opponent is actually the best way to ramp him up, because he doesn't have to go out there and feel like the entire end of the defense is on him down to the last minute, down to the last, quarter. And not that they could have projected that they were going to beat them 42-6 and end up resting starters down the stretch, but to be able to, again, stick to his side, not have to worry about I'm covering Ted McMillan and this is what he is. And he's not that he's better than me, but he's had a really good season. And, it's a team's number one guy. They set the game plan in place. He played, the amount of snaps he did, and now he has a game under them before they go up against Buffalo next week. And I think that was the best way to do it, because putting him on a snap count is not the way to go. It doesn't really get you in the full feel of a game. To be able to have the full feel of a game here, but not have it really be too strenuous on your body, if you will, I think that was the way to do it, and they did a pretty good job of it today. Gonzo was okay, and he's only going to continue to get healthy and improve throughout the rest of the year.
Okay, and I guess last, how are we feeling about next Sunday against the Bills? And again, the first 4, you'd love to be 3.
Taylor had a hot take before he came on, so
you'd love to be 3-1. You'd love to be 3-1 heading into this game. You're not. But so again, you're going to the Bills. It's there. It's they're 4-0. You're playing at Buffalo. Taylor will be there covering the game. But your initial thought. I mean, they struggled with a not so great Saints team today. We're able to pull it out. Maybe not invincible, but you never know. And again, Taylor has thoughts, and he can't wait to get them out. So I'll let him do that.
I fear Josh Allen. I do not fear the Bills. I'm sorry. Okay. The Patriots have played this team close in each of the past 2 years. Obviously, the Joe Milton game, we could throw that out the window. Drake Maye played him close. Mac Jones had the comeback win in the year where he just kind of fell off the face of the earth. And I think there was a game where they also went to Buffalo. Was that the one where they had the return touchdown, or am I thinking a few years ago?
They had the return touchdown. That
was Jalen Reagor. That was a few years ago.
Yeah.
Either way, like when they go to Buffalo,
that was the game they were in it in Week 18, and if they won in Buffalo, they would have made the playoffs.
Yes, exactly.
But they lost. But
so they play Buffalo tight when they're in Buffalo. The Bills haven't really boat raced them in quite some time. And also, like I said, Josh Allen, tip of the cap, you respect him. But the rest of this Bills team, they have a fantastic offensive line. I will say a very good running back. So the Patriots will be tested there.
That's a lot of good things, Taylor.
No, it is. But this is also, you have one of the best defensive lines in football, one that has actively been trying to avoid your best players in the middle, as I mentioned earlier. I think that they at least have the horses to make it competitive with the Bills offense, where it's not like I'm going in saying, oh no, how are you going to stop the Bills? I think it's no, you have a talented defense. They need to play their brand of football. And also, this is a Bills defense that feels like it's been banged up forever. They're pretty old. I'm not saying they're bad. They're well coached. They can spin the dial on you. I'm not, trying to just poo-poo what they can do on defense. This is Josh McDaniels. This is Drake Maye. I'm sorry. Like, now we've already seen it a couple weeks. Like, yes, the Bills are a better opponent, but I think they can scheme these guys up. And I also think that Drake Maye obviously has the talent to go toe to toe with the Josh Allen and just a complimentary enough receiving core to get it done. So I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout or anything, but I also feel like people see the Bills and they say, oh, how are the Patriots going to keep up with them? The Patriots have kept up with them in recent seasons. I don't think the Bills have gotten significantly better to the point where you're saying like, oh yeah, this isn't those teams that we've seen the past couple seasons. So I think it'll be close, but I think the Patriots should win on the road. That said, it's a very tough environment, but I'm just not as intimidated by the Bills as I think a lot of people are.
So I got shit for saying Drake Maye was a top 10 quarterback, which he is, but that's okay. But Taylor says they should win this game on the road against Buffalo.
I'll push back on that too. I don't think they should win. I do think they can win, and I do think they can keep it close. They showed today that they can play good football. They showed last week against the Steelers that even when they play terrible football, they can be in a close game down the stretch. Same thing with week 1 against the Raiders, right? So I look at this Buffalo team, and yes, they're really good. Josh Allen turned the ball over for the first time today. He hadn't turned the football over throughout the season since today. So, maybe that puts him on a downward spiral, but maybe it's the fact that he's taking care of the football. He's spread the wealth. No wide receiver, I believe, might have changed today. But coming into today, they were at home today. Yeah, they were at home today. They won 31-19. But they're spreading the ball around to Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakir. They're all kind of in the mix on offense, so they don't have a true number one right now, which is a good thing and a bad thing, I would say, because on one hand, you don't have to key in on one guy, but on the other hand, you kind of have to key on everybody.
I don't think you got to key on anybody. I think they have a very good matchup. It's like Donzo and Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir and Marcus Jones. Like, those are matchups you like. I'm not.
What about Dalton Kincaid against?
That's the top.
They got tight ends.
They got 2 tight ends.
I don't like tight
Dalton
ends.
Kincaid is a tough
Dawson
one.
Knox is okay.
Well, that's a Marte Mapu game right there, honestly. Because we saw Craig Woodson give up 2 touchdowns. I asked him, did he get picked? I think he got picked. I think he was being, a professional, but he's like, nope, I just got to be better on those plays.
Also,
I
Jackson
do think
Hawes.
the tight ends can present some tough. Yeah, I do think the tight ends can present some tough matchups. But also, if you're getting killed, I have respect for Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. But if those guys are killing you, I think you got a bigger problem. James Cook and Josh Allen are the 2 guys that you need to be very aware of, and you need to make sure they don't kill you on defense.
We saved that, but the Patriots have killed people with Hooper and Henry before too. So again, I'm not going to write that off. You also have James Cook, who's slippery. Patriots have had some tackling issues as well. He's pretty good catching the ball out of the backfield also. Mm-hmm. And then there's just the Josh Allen able to extend plays. So,
it should be competitive.
You look at the Bills and you have they don't have the receivers that scare you. They don't think they're going to blow your doors off, but they do a lot of things that the Patriots have struggled with throughout the year. So I'm curious how this one's going to go. But again, if you want to make it the great marquee headline matchup, everybody, all the people who think Drake Maye is a top 10 quarterback right now, well, you're going, and who thinks the Josh Allen comparisons are apt. Yeah. Well, here you go. This is a great opportunity. So this is fun. It's prime time. We will be back for that. But a ton of coverage throughout the week, of course, as we roll on and get excited about next week's matchup here. Check out Taylor and Mike as they get into the film with Patriots Daily throughout the week, and subscribe to our Patriots Press Pass YouTube channel for all that good stuff here that you can get, which includes the Greg Bedard Patriots podcast, Pat's Interference with Andrew Callahan, Patriots Beat with Alex Barth and Brian Hines. Also, Mike Giardi's All 32. We got the guys over at Pat's Pulpit delivering their good stuff as well. So check that out as well. Quick shout out once again to Prize Picks, #1 daily fantasy sports app all in North America. Use code CLNS, get 50 in your lineups when you play your first 5. Prize Picks, run your game. And also Game Time. Check that out as well. #1 ticket app. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. New users, when you download that app, use that code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. The Patriots improve to 2-2. Could be 4-0. Could be 3-1. They're 2-2. It is what it is.
3-1 going to the Sunday night game.
We are seeing some progress. They absolutely put a whooping on the Carolina Panthers, 42-13. I want to thank the viewers and the fans out there who watch this show. What I will say is sometimes people like to jump in here and get mad and get angry and hate stuff and wonder what's going on. but we've had far better numbers in our wins than our losses, which means you guys like winning. People like winning. It's a good thing. It's happening.
It's funny how
Who
that
would have
works.
thunk it?
Stunned. I'm shocked.
Isn't it crazy? So again, thank you to everybody in the chat for being active, keeping it civil, keeping the conversation flowing. We appreciate you guys as always. Thank you for watching us here, and we will see you guys next week. Take care.
Bye.